Here are all the tools that are necessary. I'm going to go through all the stuff we have. It's a 14 millimeter. We have actually two 14 millimeter wrenches and an electric socket. We have an 1 1/8 for the large nut. We have what we call a tie rod tool, which is rentable at AutoZone. We have a slide hammer, again from AutoZone. We have an impact with the 24. And we also have a snap ring plier. And those are all the things we're going to need in order to change the rear bearing. So we're going to pull the cotter pin out. The application comes right off. The reason we're doing this is we need to get this loose so we can apply the slide hammer. Around back, we have two 14 millimeter bolts with two 14 millimeter bolts that we're going to take out. All right, so let's get the 14 millimeters real quick. So we got to get the brake shoe off. The reason we have to get the brake shoe off, pull the brake caliper off, is we have to get rid of the C-clamp. So we have to get the C-clamp out. So we remove the caliper, disc brake assembly hub off. The reason we need to do that is so we can get to the C-clamp. Gently tap this off. A lot of dirt in there. We're going to clean this up before we put it back in. So now we have the hub off. Doesn't look too dirty. So what we do is we clean it before we pull it out. We're going to spray it just to get all the dust and dirt that may stick the bearing and help stop it from coming out. So we've got the tool in. We remove the C-clip. Clean this up real quick. Maybe some WD-40 to help keep it lube for when we slide in on and off. See how much easier that goes on and off now? We'll put the washer on. And we're going to install the slide hammer. Slide hammer installs with the lug nuts. And why are we doing this? Because we're going to use the slide hammer to pull the axle out. With the bearing on. Let's see if here we go. So now we have the assembly here. We still have this as one piece, and we have the bearing on here. I can hear the bearing needs to be replaced. So we're going to undo the nut and washer for the axle. We're going to slide this axle out. And since we did it the correct timing, everything's clean. This is how simple the bearing slides off. And we're going to put a new bearing on. First, we're going to clean it up a little bit. I don't know if you can see in this one, there is a lot of water and dust in here. So that's getting on the backside of the bearing. So that's why we're going to replace this bearing. We're going to put a cage bearing, we're going to put a sealed rubber bearing in here. And as you see all the dirt, the water that was in there. So for us, why do we put anti-seize on it? When there's two different metals, you want to make sure that the two metals don't corrode, they don't stick. Anything that has access to water or dirt or rust. So you can see there's rust in here. So what we do is we're going to cover everything with anti-seize as best as possible. So if we have to replace the bearing or we have to take it apart, everything comes apart easy. How do we reinstall? So we're also going to put anti-seize on the inside of here, wherever the bearing fits, so it'll be easier to come out. So first thing you do for the reinstall, new bearing process, is put the axle in, because the axle's keyed, and the axle also has a race on it. The next step is put the new bearing on. Now, bearings, when you press bearings in, you don't want to put any pressure on the inside race. You only want to put pressure on the outside race. So what we've done is we take this old bearing, and we're going to use that to press it in. And then here is the tool we're going to use. It's a tie rod tool, rentable at AutoZone. And we're going to use a rubber mallet, because if it's not sliding in easy, we have a problem. And oh, wow. Just like butter. We know we're done because the bearing's all the way down. And we can just pull this other bearing out. We can see the space for the C-clip. Now our tool still has the C-clip still mounted to it. And we just release. And the C-clip is mounted. Make sure it's seated all the way. It's clicked. So now that's on. What's the next step? Next step is the brake disc and hub assembly. Put this on so it doesn't slide back and forth. So we're going to look to make sure the cotter pin's lined up. Perfect. So now we're going to install a new cotter pin. And the next step is reinstall the disc caliper. And we're done. That's it. That's repair bearing replacement.